All right, ready?
I'm
From
ready to
the
go, man.
halls of Montezuma. Hey, I don't know what that is, but
The background's cheering.
oh,
Might
okay,
have been
okay,
cheering. I
gotcha.
forget which button's what.
Yeah, man. So yeah, we're coming for this coming live with this special episode for the Marine Corps birthday. Huge event for all Marines around the world. One that is celebrated and just thoroughly loved across the ranks. Um, 249 years since the start at Ton Tavern. So many folks don't know that the Marine Corps started in a bar, and so
Nice.
when you go to when you go to these actual Marine Corps balls, there's a line out the door to hit these little bars, right, to get your beers and stuff, to double fist it, if you will. But yeah, at Ton Tavern, and I believe it's shoot, if my mind, I should know this, in Philadelphia, uh, November 10th, 1775. So that makes us 249 years old. So my hats off to all the hats off, right, to all the Marines around the world, still serving and that have served. Semper Fi, happy birthday. It's been an honor for me to serve for 2 decades and continue serving in our own way. And thanks, John, for being my co-host. Though you're not Marine, you're at my
Oh,
side
man.
like a battle buddy. So we're all good. You're good in my eyes.
That's right. Yeah, actually, I was going to ask you, just for simplicity's sake. I mean, not everybody's listening or watching is Marine, including myself. And
Yeah.
I find it really interesting that the Marine Corps birthday is like right before Veterans Day, right around that same time frame. Veterans Day is going to be tomorrow, I guess. But
Hmm.
for those who don't know, for those who have never served in the Marines or never, been around a Marine unit or anything like that, what should they expect in that week leading up to the birthday celebration?
Leading up to the birthday, so everybody really looks forward to getting off a little early, for the Marine
Mhm.
Corps birthday, at least the celebration, right? So the celebrations don't always land on November 10th, of course, because it's a weekend. People have things planned and stuff. So a lot of times the birthdays, the actual celebrations at like these event centers or convention centers, some people even have them at like stadiums and stuff. They're usually like in the week leading up to that, maybe even that's that same month, sometime in November. And yeah, it's a matter of everybody's kind of excited. Everybody's getting picking up their uniforms and making sure final inspections are done. Sometime in like late October or something like that. A lot of Marines are getting inspected. At least the junior Marines are. But yeah, it's a whole lot of making plans of, hey, look, let's go 8 to a room on this, and I'll sleep on the floor if you're like a young E3 like I was. I've had my share of sleeping on the couch in people's hotel rooms for the ball. Um, but yeah, man, it really does feel like a lot of camaraderie, a lot of brotherhood, sisterhood, leading up to that. Um, and I always love those times because it's like, okay, yeah, it's time to let loose. These are the times where you actually see like your higher ups. Back when I was a young Marine, looking forward to seeing my staff NCOs, staff sergeants and above and stuff, let loose. Just kind of not be in that mindset of the mission. On that day, your mission is to just have some fun, be there and celebrate a legacy with your fellow, war fighters, with your fellow warriors. And it feels good to do that. Listen to uh, guest speaker, watch the Marine Corps video or the Marine Corps birthday message. Um, it's just a great time, man. It's a great build up to that, and then you have Veterans Day off the following day, so that also works well. You got the next day off.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better time when I was in, just enjoying that with folks, in uniform.
Yeah, in the Army, I know. I mean, we do the Army birthday every year, and
Mhm.
we also do for those warrant officers out there in the Warrant Officer Corps in the Army. We do the Warrant Officer birthday every year, which happens to fall on my birthday, which is amazing. Um, but I've never ever remembered a time when we did an Army birthday celebration where it was just this big bash and this big blowout and, you know, all kinds of partying and hanging out and doing a lot of preparations. I know we do like the cutting of the cake. It's more of a formality than it is like a celebration to me. I don't know. It's more like just getting together, doing a lunch or whatever it is, or if they happen to have a little night out or something like that. But usually I haven't really seen that. And I kind of feel like the Marines kind of are at the tip of the spear when it comes to that celebration of service versus all the other services. I'm sure each service does their own thing and does it a different way, but I feel like the Marines are like the tip of the spear when it comes to that particular endeavor with the birthday bash and like celebrating Marines.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a sense of pride, right? A huge sense of pride, especially when like they're walking out with the cake and it's slow, you know, Marines hymn, you know, from the halls, you know, that whole sound. It's super slow. They're walking out with the cake. There's been a couple times where I was in the actual ceremony. You know, you have to do the sword detail at the ceremony. I've done that a few times. But yeah, there definitely is a sense of pride, and it's so fun, man. It's like they cut the cake with the sword, you know, and they give the first piece of cake to the oldest Marine present. Usually it's like the CO of the base or something like that, or maybe like a guest of honor. Um, and then the second piece of cake, and everybody's always gasping. It goes to the youngest Marine present, which is always like, you know, they're always like 17 or 18. And it's like, this guy was just born yesterday, you know, and everybody's like, whoa, you know, just so young. Um, but yeah, I mean, just sitting there, just breaking bread with your fellow Marines. You know, everybody's dressed to the nines. Everybody's got a drink in hand. Everybody's just kind of talking their crap. You know, just letting loose. Then you have the dance floor, and then you know you'll see medals flying all over the place as people start doing head spins on the freaking dance floor. And I've seen it before. I've seen it before, and it's funny. But, it's just a great time, man. It really is. And normally afterwards, you know, especially like when we were in Hawaii, I was stationed out in Hawaii, then, you know, you change and then you go out downtown and just go have fun, you know, like continue having a couple more drinks, hanging out with friends. Of course, you know, you watch each other's backs and make sure everybody gets home okay. But it's, yeah, it's just an awesome experience, man. I wish I almost wish like I was still in just to celebrate that, but I'm on the outside kind of looking in now. I can see that, you
Yeah.
know. But now I get to wear my suit and then like the mini medals and all that stuff. So that's cool. That's cool.
So are
But you
you
know what? I
did you attend anything over the weekend? Like
no, no,
Marine
no,
Corps
just
wise? No.
no, nothing like that, man. I just celebrated with a few friends. That's it. Didn't go attend any actual ceremonies, but I plan on it, especially for the next one, 250th birthday. I plan on
Mhm.
attending one here, probably like by Camp Pendleton or something. You know, making the whole thing of it. You know, we get a hotel room, we go hang out with some friends, things like that. But yeah, this year was kind of quiet. You know, it was super simple. You know, I was just kind of concentrating my own stuff on the family and stuff. So we just kept it super simple this year. But you know, John, I have been to some army mess nights and
Yeah.
an army birthday, and you guys get kind of crazy yourself. You know, I've never seen it before, but under your, I guess your dress uniform, your dress coat, people have like different linings stitched in for they're like different colors. I've never seen that before. I've never seen that in Marine Corps uniforms before. And then that the first time somebody took it off, and I'm like, whoa, whoa, what the hell? You know, they had like Superman lining. I don't know what the hell I was looking at for a second. But no,
Yeah.
that was cool, man. You guys definitely blow it up and know how to party.
Yeah, we do it we do a little bit. I mean, when I first came in, it was probably a lot more camaraderie and a lot more of like that kind of thing going on. We had regular celebrations a couple times throughout the year for different things, but
Yeah.
as I progressed in the ranks and got into different units, and as the army kind of matured around me,
Hmm.
it felt like it got a little less. I don't know why, but um, yeah, the last probably dozen years in the army didn't really feel like it had that kind of zest, and I think that's really something that's super important, especially now looking back, right, and trying to retrospectively put things in order and understand how things may or may not work better. Just putting that at the forefront, right? Putting these celebrations at the forefront. Like for me, it's the Signal Corps, Signal Ball, and stuff like that. We have each different branch of the Army has got its own thing. So the AG Corps, the maintenance corps, like all those, the ordnance corps, they've got their own separate things. But then the Army ball itself, or like even like the AUSA thing that happens in DC every year, right around the Army 10-miler, and I think they do the Marine Corps run as well, somewhere in that same week or two.
Yeah, it's usually around that time.
Yeah, so those kind of things, I think they need to be highlighted a lot more. Like we do the mission all the time, and that's, you get into this repetitive rut, and then I guess the deployments have started to slow down a little bit, but really just pushing that to the forefront to be able to enjoy what you're actually doing, and use it as a tool to keep people in. I mean, who doesn't want to look forward to that celebration next year where, you can go hang out and, like you said, be with your peers and be with your superiors and be with your subordinates all in the same room, enjoying each other's company, just like regular people, kind of a little less stressful and a little more just laid back and chill. So
I completely agree, man. It is a time to let loose, and I think as you get older in rank, I think as you progress and become higher in rank, you kind of get that feeling of like, it gets kind of lonely at the top, as they say. So like when I was I was kind of at, it was like a chief or a director position, where at my unit. And yeah, it does get a little lonely at the top. So you look forward to these things, right? You look forward to like letting loose and hanging out with your young Marines, because it's not often that I would go in and actually have a one-on-one conversation. It got to the point where I was like, as a chief warrant officer, and I walked into the actual ballroom, right, of this hotel, and there was a staff sergeant that worked for me, and obviously you could tell that he had shown up a little bit earlier, in the night, and he was already pre-gaming it a little bit, and he jumped on me like a damn koala bear on my back, and I'm like, holy shit, staff sergeant, what are you doing? And he's like, hey sir, it's great to see you. I'm like, hey, great to see you too, man. And my wife was like, what the hell is wrong with him? I was like, hey, he's just having some fun, he's not hurting anybody, so that's always a good time. Just like, hey, look, hey, happy birthday, go around shaking everybody's hand, happy birthday. And I really do take that to heart. Like it really does feel, having served 2 decades in that organization, it really does feel like another birthday, not just my birth month, but the birth of when I received that Eagle Globe and Anchor, in my hand, in my left hand. I'll never forget that day. And it definitely does feel like another birthday. Navy dining ends.
It's always good to celebrate.
I'm reading Adman's comment here. Yeah, Navy dining. I've not had the pleasure of going to a Navy dining in. I've been only to the Marine ones. We've had some Navy folks come to ours. But yeah, I can tell you that if they're anything like the Marine ones, and I'm sure that they are, they are a blast. Especially when so you have to get up, like for these mess nights, you got to get up and request permission to even go to the bathroom, right? Like, hey, I request in the Marine Corps, I'm sure in the Navy too, I request permission to shed a tear for Lord Admiral Nelson. And sometimes the Mr. Vice or the president denies you, so you just kind of have to sit there and like shaking the whole time because you got to go take a piss and you can't. Oh, those are the best times, man.
Yeah, we don't get that crazy at Army dining ins, but again, like I said, Army dining ins were a big thing when I first came in, and then it's over time, like they just kind of disappeared. Like I don't know where they went. I know in Kentucky, of all the places I've been in Kentucky, we had a thing called Right Arm Night, and it was basically like the base commander. It was an Army base. The base commander, like a whole bunch of commanders and officers showed up, and NCOs as well. And we actually had our base bar, the one that was in the center of the base, sponsored by like the Woodford Reserve or something like that.
Oh, wow. Yeah. The whiskey, right? Is that the whiskey?
Was pretty cool. Yeah. The bourbon. Yeah.
Okay. Bourbon. Yeah.
So And then they had like mugs for everybody. So they'd have all the mugs. You could buy a mug and have it hanging up there. So when you show up on Friday or whenever it was, you'd have your mug with your name on it or whatever, and you could sit there and enjoy some drinks with your fellow service members and stuff like that. That was one of the only places that kind of stood out beyond all the other places. But yeah, dining ins. I miss dining ins. Dining ins were great.
Yeah, they're a good time. Like, so I'd go to the Army courses a lot, right? And there's one in Virginia that I go to a lot, and we'd always do like a dining in there. We'd watch videos of the class and stuff, you know, the graduating class of the organization or the unit. And at one point, like I was the cameraman, I was doing all the videos for all that stuff. And then, you know, it's fun to see the upcoming classes and what they're doing. And yeah, they get crazy, man. At one point, some guy threw a like a snake in the punch bowl. These are Army guys, right? These are Army guys. So they
Yeah.
And then by 2 a.m, we're all singing "Boys to Men," "End of the Road," at karaoke night, and everybody's kind of hugging each other. You know, yeah, exactly. Last call. That's what it was exactly. You know, just everybody's kind of hugging each other to the ends of the road. I'm not going to sing it right now, but you get the gist.
Right.
You get the gist. And for some reason, we're FaceTiming somebody, and it's like blown up on this other screen, and they're singing on their FaceTime side, and I don't know what's going on because I just remember blocks of it, right? So. Yeah, those are good times. I don't know if I can hang that way anymore, man. I don't do all that drinking and stuff anymore, but you know, it's good to remember back when.
Well, it's good if they would start to put some of that stuff at the forefront, and I think that'd be really one way to keep people in the military. Like we're trying to help people get out of the military, but we also at the same time want to make sure that people actually go back in the military or go into the military so they can backfill some of these slots so that we can leave and have a good peace of mind that we're leaving the unit and there's people coming behind us that we've trained and mentored and groomed for the next positions when we take off and leave the service. So yeah.
Oh, absolutely, man. And you know, 100% stay in the military if you're that close. I just had a conversation with somebody. I can't recall where exactly it was. It was probably on the military retirement group, and it was actually on a comment that I had on the Green Logbook YouTube page. And they were on the fence. It was a Navy E6, and he was on the fence about staying in another couple years because he had an opportunity to do something in the civilian world. And my suggestion to him was, look, if you're like 4 years away, you're going to be kicking yourself in the ass 4 years from now when you hit that 20-year mark. You're seeing all your buddies in the Navy who are getting out, and you're going to be like, damn, that was only 4 years away. And it goes by quick because last year you're barely even working, right? You're just doing a lot of turnover. So it's like, hey, dude, stick it out. I mean, if your mental health is like really declining, you know, get some help for that. But it would suit you and your family, if you have one, to stick it out for another 4 years, stay in there, hit your 20-year mark, then get out, retire, have that retirement, that VA disability on top of that. And that's for life. That is for life. And I can't tell you how many of my friends, my buddies, you know, and you know, I love them all. I love them all, but a lot of them come back. And when I was actually setting up my whole retirement ceremony, and you know, I invited a bunch of them, and they're like, "Dude, I wish I would have just stuck it out." You know, they got out after one enlistment. I'm like, "Man, you had your plans. You know, you knew what was going on." But he's like, "Yeah, you know, a lot of them were like, yeah." But I wish I would have stuck it out because then I would have had a pension for life, you know, or these opportunities for life, or health insurance for life. But I mean, that's the nature of the beast, man. I mean, when something comes along and you have to take it, you got to take it. You know, nobody can change your mind at that point unless it's you. But yeah, there is some worth to staying in 20 years. And let's see if I can find that. I'll dig around for it here in a second.
Yeah, and while you're doing that, I want to pull up that. I just reached out to this guy the other day because I saw his post on LinkedIn, and I thought it was really, really, really interesting what he said. Let me see if I can just pull it up real quick. But basically, and it was kind of around the same, like it was kind of touching on Cola Trap, but not really Cola Trap. Get this thing up here and see if I can pull it up. This is a great post, and if you get a chance to reach out to Mr. Douglas Fowler, he's a senior leader in the Air Force, and he put this post up there, and he was talking about how service members who retired in 2022 and 2023 will earn a smaller pension than the exact same service members who retired in the exact same number of years in service in the exact same month of 2020. And I guess it's because of the inflation, and he goes into some of the details of it. I reached out to him. I was like, hey, dude, you should come on the show, and we should seriously talk about this. Not that it's going to make a difference in retrospect. Like if you retired in 2021, you can't really change that. But thinking ahead and kind of thinking in that same groove as the cola trap, right?
Yeah.
This is some interesting.
So Colonel Fowler is the one who, when I made the cola trap video on the Green Logbook, he's the one that I reached out to about that as well. So he should be. If he hasn't already said yes to it, I think he'd be on board to coming on the show. Because I reached out to him about his cola trap. He does all the calculations for it, and smart guy. I mean, smarter than I am when it comes to all that stuff. I'm not a mathematician by any means, but he does all the calculations for the cola trap. What month to retire and exactly how it's going to affect you. It's kind of amazing actually how it affects some folks. It's not going to be too much, but it'll definitely add up over the lifetime, over 20 years or so. Yeah. So let me see if I can bring this up on the stage with this this little thing that this guy sent me over. Share screen. There we go. So yeah, it's over on the right-hand side here. So it says, I'm an E6 Navy, and I'll be at 12 years by the end of my current contract in 2026. I want to do my 20, but this command I'm currently at has me questioning everything. Like, can I really do 8 more years? I was working on my college degree to try to commission so I could at least get a better quality of life, but now I'm thinking about just getting my degree, taking all I've saved and invested, and just getting out. This past year and a half has been a nightmare. I can't do another command like this current one. So yeah, that's tough. It's tough when your leadership is, quote unquote, a nightmare, right? But my question to him was, how long are you going to be in that command? Like, are you slated to PCS this coming summer? If so, you really just have to endure. Unfortunately, you have to endure that, for another couple years or another couple months. But I mean, if you're slated to move this coming summer, then things are going to change. I mean, you're an E6. You have the ability of calling ahead when you get orders and just kind of putting out feelers out there. I mean, I did it all the time. When I got orders, I'd make the call to the next duty station. I'm like, hey, who's working out there? What's the leadership? What's the morale like? What's the climate like out there? The command climate. And, for the most part, I get, honest answers and things like that. But that'd be my recommendation to him is call ahead, find out what your next command is going to be like. Also gauge how much longer you have at that command and understand that, if there's avenues, if you have some kind of mental health issues or anything like that, or you feel like you're declining a little bit, there's avenues within the military. You can get medical assistance, you can get therapy assistance, this and that. But also, I mean, if you have like a good job on the outside waiting for you, I wouldn't discount that either. I work with a guy who had a really good job. He was in for 15 years. He was a major, and he got out because he accepted a position over in DC, which was paying double what he was making here. He sold his house here. He moved out there. He resigned his commission, made the move. I mean, it was a good move for him, right? But I don't know that I personally would have done that, especially 5 years away from, a retirement and a pension. But this guy is 8 years away from it. He still has a couple years to go. I mean, it's kind of a toss up. Like I made my decision at 10 years, like, okay, this is it. I'm going to go for the long haul, and after that, there was no looking back. I was like, whatever happens, I'm in this. And then they came out with like, I don't know if the Army had it. I don't know if it was across the entire board, but they came out with the Terra was like a Terra retirement where you can retire at 15 years. I know they were doing
Yep.
like a drawdown on the Marine Corps. I guess we had too many people at one point. I think the Marine Corps can only have like 197,000 Marines at one point at one given time. We had more than that, so they were doing a drawdown. They were giving people incentives to move on and get out early, so they were letting people retire at 15 years. In that case, if that ever came back, that's an option. But then again, you're only getting 35% of your retirement pay at that point instead of the 50% at 20 years.
Yep. Yeah, I actually was I ran into this situation myself, and it wasn't necessarily because of the command. I mean, no matter what command you go to, you're going to run into some jackasses, and you're going to run into some good people, right? You just got to find those people and hunt those people out, and the ones who are jackasses, just keep your distance as much as possible. Like, do what you got to do to interact, but at the same time, just keep your distance. Just like if you have
Oh yeah,
a jackass family member who drags you down in the dirt, right? You can still be family with them, but you just got to keep your distance, right? Because misery loves company. They intertwine you in their drama and all that stuff, right? So it doesn't matter where you go, what unit you go to, like there's going to be pros and cons to every single unit you go to, no matter what service. But I did find myself in that position about 5 or 6 years out from retirement time. And I wasn't even sure about the retirement because at the time I was trying to calculate my points, and I had active duty points and I had AGR points and then I had reserve time, and I was trying to calculate that and figure that out. So I didn't really know how that actually worked, and I wasn't able to figure out what my actual retirement date was going to be, but I kind of guessed it was around 5 or 6 years.
Mhm.
The thing that was bothering me the most, though, really wasn't the commands or the people or anything like that. Like, the work is what it is. It's not that big of a deal. Like, you have to understand that you got to let it go at the end of the day. And when you go home, just go home and just shut it off. And you can't be doing work
Oh yeah.
into the wee hours of the night. You
Oh,
have to
it's so
shut
hard to
down
do
and
that
give
though.
yourself some space. Yeah, it is. It's difficult. It's really difficult, especially if you're really engaged and you're a front runner and you're taking charge of things and doing things and making things happen. It's hard
Yeah,
to disengage. But
it is.
um, what I did do was sit down seriously and think, because the thing for me was my kids who live in Europe. At the time, I was still in the States and I was on AGR
Mhm.
active duty time, and I was only getting my 30 days of leave or whatever, if I could get that, to go there. And a quarter of that time was spent just traveling back and forth and getting unjet lagged and all that good stuff, but then spending as much time as I could with my kids. And this was in their teen years as they were progressing through their age. It
Yep.
was really, really, really tough for me. Like, it was really difficult. There was a point in my career at like maybe the 3 or 4 year mark where I was like, you know what, I'm just going to get out. I'm just going to drop everything and go back to Europe so I can spend time with my kids. And I talked to a
Yeah.
few people who were mentors of mine, friends of mine, and every single one of them was like, even one of them who wasn't retired, who was in service but didn't finish up his full 20 years and retire. He was like, look, man, if there's anything I could go back and change, it would be to go back and to finish up that last 5 or 10 years or whatever it was that I had to do to get to retirement. Because
Yeah.
now that I'm spending time as a contractor or as a civilian working with these guys who retired, I see the difference, right? I see the difference in
Oh yeah.
lifestyle. Even if we're making the same pay, like they're making extra pay because they're getting the retirement check and they're getting VA disability and they're getting their civilian pay, which gives them a lot more freedom of space to move. And it gives you a lot more freedom of not so much pressure on you that you only make your money through going to the job, right? You've got this
Oh, 100%.
excess surplus of cash, right? So it's going to be
Yeah.
difficult. I mean, there's no right answer. The right answer is whatever makes sense for you. And the other thing of it is you'll never know what the other decision would have amounted to, right? So if you got two
Yeah.
decisions or three decisions in front of you and you pick one, you're never going to know, no matter how much you speculate, you're never going to know what exactly that other decision was going to turn out to be. It could have been worse. It could have been better. Who
Mhm.
knows? So I guess with all that, it'd be like, make the decision that's right for you. Understand though that if you've already made it this far and you feel like you can make it the next 8 years or 6 years or whatever you got left, it really sets you up. It sets you up for a whole lot of things. You've done a video on it of what retirement looks like at the 20 and 30 and 40-year mark after you've gotten out of the service.
Oh yeah.
You know, how much money that actually is. Because if you look at any investment out there, any kind of pension fund or IRA or anything like that, like there's none of those that's going to top what your retirement check's going to pay you over the course of, say, 40 years, right? None of those. It's not even close. So,
Oh, 100%, man. 100%.
yeah, I
So
would
it's,
seriously just think about that.
yeah, if I did not retire from the military, I would not be able to live here in Southern California. Like we just chose to live out here, right? And I'll tell you, my wife will never let me forget it because I met her during my first enlistment, and I was on the fence about getting out. I was thinking about moving back to the East Coast, and I met her out here in California years ago when I was first stationed out here. Was thinking about going back to the East Coast, just getting out, going to college out there, and seeing how things go. And we were a small family at that point. And something about it, I was coming up on my reenlistment date. And back then, we had this thing called boat spaces. So if there's enough space in your MOS, then you can reenlist in your MOS rather than either getting out or going to a different MOS. So they had enough boot spaces. And back then, it was like not that they needed a ton of people. So it was easy for me to be like 3 months, 4 months away from my actual reenlistment date and just reenlist, right? Or my end of service date and reenlist. So that's exactly what I did. I reenlisted like 4 months before my actual contract ended, and raised my right hand and all that stuff. Recited the creed and all that, and reenlisted. And then they gave me orders somewhere else, and that continued on. And if you ask my wife, it was because of her that we are in a good place right now. That I'm retired and all that stuff. And I'll never forget it because she has a reason to say that, because I was really on the fence, as are most of these people after the first enlistment. I was really on the fence about whether or not I was going to do this for the long haul. Because, sometimes you don't have the best leadership. Sometimes you really are looking to the other side to see if it's greener. And I was more of the idea at that point, like, hey, look, what if I just stick this out? Yeah, it sucks now, but that's what the Marine Corps is about. It's going to be rough. It's going to be tough on you. It's going to challenge you. And I'm like, am I up to another 4 years of challenge? And I'm like, shit, you know what? Might as well. Let's do it. Let's go full force. And, one speed, go, and let's reenlist. So that's exactly what we did. And look at us now. Look at you now, John. You're living out there in Europe, living the life.
Yeah. I will say this, though, to your point
Yeah.
earlier. During that time period when I was going through that
Mhm.
kind of decision-making process, and I was missing my kids, and I felt like I was failing them and not doing them a service by being there in person as their dad. And of course, a lot of pressure from a lot of different voices out there that were in my sphere of influence at the time. Like I was
Right.
really depressed. I was really depressed. I was really down. I was really feeling like really bad. And at some point in that process, I did reach out. Like I just walked into the mental health clinic and I was like, hey, I'm here to just see a doc and sit down and just talk about some things. And they asked me a bunch of questions, and it was really intrusive and really awkward. But it took that to get me to talk to them, to speak through my stuff, to talk through my stuff that's difficult to talk about with anybody, including myself, and to talk with
Mhm.
somebody else who I was able to trust. And I went through 2 or 3 of them, actually. And again, I did that all for myself, and it didn't hurt my security clearance and all that stupid shit that people say. It was
Mhm.
really more for my mental well-being, because of the fact that I
Yeah.
felt myself going down this weird path, and I didn't want to
Mhm.
continue going down that path, and I needed somebody to kind of like pull me out of it, just throw me a
Yeah.
stick, throw me a line, throw me a lifeboat, something. So
Mhm.
I did that for for a couple of years, and it was probably the best thing that I've ever done, because A, it was me telling myself to go, and B, I did it on my own pace, and I let the doc know up front. I was like, this is what I'm here for. This is what I want to talk about. This is what I want to understand. Can we start to go through this process and walk down this path? And it took a long time. Like, it's not one of those things where you can just go to the doc one day and be like, hey, this hurts. And then they give you some pills and then they send you home. Like, this is a month long, year long. It's a long process because you have to keep going back and you uncover a little bit at a time over time. But to your point, like, if you start to feel yourself in that situation and that stress from that decision is really impacting your life in a certain way, it's perfectly okay, perfectly fine, and it's really actually really helpful if you find the right doctor, and you can choose around and pick around and figure out which one's right for you. But to be able to have somebody to talk to in confidence and know that it's not like your business is not all out there in the open, and really just walk through that with a professional who knows how to walk you through that, I by all means do that. And again, it's not going to hurt your security clearance or your job thing or like none of that shit that people talk about, the stigmatized effects of going to mental health. It's just not the case, and I can tell you that from a first person perspective.
Yeah, I imagine there's a lot of people who don't go to medical because of that reason, right? They may hold a
Tons.
TSSCI or something, and maybe they don't want to go there. It affects them and continues to affect them, you know? So I
Yep.
can only assume.
I
Um,
had a TSSCI.
yeah.
So
Real quick, I want to give a shout out to, I just got a birthday message from Gunny Garcia. He runs the Pit Talk podcast. If you haven't heard the Pit Talk podcast, I was on there a while back. It was actually one of my first podcasts that I jumped on when I first retired. And you know, we got in contact and he reached out. He asked me to come on. I'm like, cool. And he still laughs about it. He's like, yeah. He's like, can you send me a photo? I was like, shit, I don't have one. Like a good one. So I did like a photo shoot in my backyard. I put on like a suit and I put my iPhone on a timer and did like a photo shoot in my backyard. My neighbors are watching me like, what the fuck is this guy doing in his backyard taking photos in the grass with the suit? But yeah, shout out to Gunny. Yeah, right. Shout out to Gunny Garcia of Pit Talk Podcast. Thank you for the birthday message and happy birthday to you, Gunny. Oh man, let's see. Hey, Ad Man, I'm curious to have you on the show, man. I mean, like it seems like you're always watching the live streams. You know, you're commenting on the Navy dining ins and all that stuff. I'm be curious to have you on the show one day. I'm sure John resonates or agrees with that.
I'm all about that. I'm always reaching out to people depending on what I come across, especially like on LinkedIn. I come across a lot of posts on LinkedIn and I'll just get in the comment section and start writing and start talking. We've had guests that have asked to come on and then we've kind of like had things come up and they've gone did different stuff. Like one that reached out about a year ago. We were talking to her about a year ago and she just reached out the other day and she was like, hey, sorry about the delays and all that stuff. Is it still cool to come on the podcast? Like, absolutely. Like if you've got some important information or you got something that you want to talk about, or if you just want to come on here and just talk and just get some stuff off your chest in a nice, friendly environment, safe environment. At least I feel it's a safe environment. Of course, you know, there's people on the internet watching and stuff too, but don't worry about them. They're on the other side of the screen, man. Don't worry about it. Come on with it.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. Anybody who wants to jump on here, I'd be curious to have them on there. Just talk about, you know, what life is like after you took off the uniform for the final time. There's a ton of folks that we come across. John and I, we talked to a ton of veterans, probably several dozens of veterans now, after running this show for so long. And a story's always different. It's always, you know, something that we find in there that's like really heartfelt. They always look back at their time in the military, though sometimes some folks don't really like their entire time in the military. There's always something good about it. You know, they learned a lesson about it, you know, some kind of leadership lesson or through, hardships, they learn something about themselves and it helped them grow. So I'm always curious to hear something like that from folks out there. So I'll tell you what,
And I do want
John.
to
Go ahead. Go ahead. I won't cut you off.
yeah, no, I was going to say I do want to let people know because of Veterans Day, and we want to support as much as we can. Got the book that we put out, the bottom line up front.
Yeah.
We've got that available, and it's going to be available for the 99-cent price. We're dropping the price down below its sub cup of coffee price. And also, as we are experimenting, since this is the very first book that I've ever published or put out, and I'm not sure if you put out any books before this, but this is a new territory for me. So we were able to update. I don't know if anybody else noticed it. Myself and Victor noticed it both. The titles on the chapters. So the cool thing about this book is not only is it a great little short read for you to get prepped for your time to get ready to get out of the military service. Again, whether you're coming off 4 years, 6 years, 20 years, 30 years, like it's a good little kind of primer to get you going and get the juices flowing and get you start thinking about things. But the cool thing about it is that we can actually go in here and update the book. So this used to be like, this title used to take up the whole entire screen here, and it looked really ugly. And again, it's my first time doing this stuff, so I didn't know what I was doing. But I just went the other day and sat down and edited the book itself and pushed it back out there. So that was kind of a test to make sure it works. And also I just want to make it the best product possible for everybody out there. So tomorrow, pretty much all day, if you want to grab a copy, it's going to be 99 cents on Amazon. There's a link down in the description of this video. If you're watching this after the fact, you probably missed the window because it's a very short window, but the price will go back up to $2.99. And then we may have another kind of giveaway sometime throughout the rest of the year here, the last 2 months of the year that we've got left. But yeah, we're able to update the book. So that means we're able to add things to it, update links, do all kinds of cool stuff, and improve on it over time if we need to. And then it just takes a day or two. And then once those updates are pushed through Amazon, then it'll push it out to your copy of the book on your device, whether you're reading it on a Kindle device or on your phone or wherever, you'll get those updates. So in perpetuity, it's kind of like a software upgrade, if you will. So you buy the license for the book and you get the software upgrades for life, essentially, for this particular book. So yeah, that, and then give us your feedback as well, because we'll take that feedback and we will improve on what we've done already and build that back into the book and then push out those updates as we do them so that we can kind of keep this as updated as possible.
Yeah. And as somebody who has read the book about 40 times, I can wholeheartedly suggest this as a good read as you're getting out of the military. I've only read the book like 40 times because we're going back and forth and doing edits and stuff. And I mean, it is a good read. It kind of gives you an outline of everything you need to expect when you're getting out. A sort of like one of those pregnancy books, what to expect when you're expecting, but what to expect when you are about to depart the military, right? So something I wish I had in my hands as I was going through this whole process of getting out of the military, because it was kind of a nightmare, an uphill battle, if you will, of trying to figure things out and talking to folks and not knowing what kind of questions to ask or what exactly to expect. And we kind of cover a lot of things here in a mere 10 chapters. So it's a really good read for the price, especially for the price.
Give you a little preview of some of the
So while you're giving a preview
there.
While you're giving a preview of that, John, I'm going to switch something out here real quick. So give me a few.
Yep. Yeah, I've probably brought this up on the screen before in the past, but here's the 10 chapters. Essentially, is understanding military retirement, military retirement benefits planning, military retirement transition assistance program, military retirement financial planning, Oops, sorry. Must have skipped ahead. Let's go back. Where are we at? Financial planning, military retirement, healthcare options, military retirement, housing options, military retirement relocation, military retirement lifestyle. Oh, did it again. No worries. Jump back to the thing. It's the problem of messing with your phone while it's on your screen. It's funny. All right, let's go here. Okay, military retirement job opportunities and military retirement mental health support. So that's the 10 chapters. I think that was 10. It might have been 8. But yeah, it's a good little book. We put a lot of effort into it. And like I said, the cool thing is we can actually go back and then update some of that stuff or revise some of that stuff and push out a new version of it. And it'll just update in your device. And then you'll have the latest and greatest thing. And we'll also just let everybody know if we do a major update at the book, we'll let you know on the live stream for sure that we've pushed something out or we've added something to the book or did some modifications or something like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of books out there, like on Amazon. I mean, I even went ahead and purchased one. It was like $20, and it was kind of similar to this. And the way we edited this thing, it was kind of looking at that other book and making sure that we provided just a little bit more information and like useful information, things I wish I would have known. Right. It's I'm not going to call out the other book. I mean, it was a good read for what it was. I don't know if I would have paid for it again.
Right.
You know, however, yeah, I think our book might be a little bit better. You know, I'm just going to throw that out there. You know, I'm just going to do the Marine thing and say, hey, I think we're better.
Yeah. If for nothing else, there's one section in this book called the VeteranAI one pager, and it's basically everything you need to know in a single page. Well, if you got the Kindle book on an iPhone, I guess it's 3 pages really, but everything you need to know in a single page for veterans education benefits, basically. Sums it up nice and succinct. It's really, really straight to the point. I've vetted it through the VeteranAI representative that I'm working with for my VeteranAI program. And he said, you are spot on. Everything is good. It makes total sense. He told me to tweak one thing. So I tweaked one thing. But other than that, he was like, this is perfect. He's like, I don't know why every single veteran who's trying to get education benefits doesn't have this in their hands already. So.
So I'm going to see if I can share a little something here. Let me see. I don't want to share too much of it. Let's see if I can blow this thing up. Ah, man. All right. So I got to figure out how I can just kind of show the email without showing everything else, but I'll share this part of it. I got an email from, and this was it was 2 days ago. It was an update on VeteranAI. And the update on VeteranAI was how long until my appointment? Okay. I know my appointment is middle of this year or middle of 2025. However, if somebody was to apply for VeteranAI in California today, or as of 2 days ago, it says the appointments are currently 15 months from application date. So you cannot get an appointment to actually see if you're eligible for VeteranAI until 15 months from today. So they're currently scheduling into January of 2026. That's how backed up they are. So even if you don't think that you're going to be using VeteranAI, still apply for it. You know, you might even forget about it. Just put it on your calendar. You might not need it, 15 months from now. But then again, you might. So it's good to be in, be in that queue for it. And they give you one reschedule allowed per application, regardless if the request is prior to the appointment, and rescheduling will take 3 to 4 months to get you back on schedule. So they're definitely backed up, but there's a way around that. Just get your name on the list. Easy as that.
Yep. Yeah. And if you got if you've got a copy of the book and you've got the one pager, that's gonna like that'll literally break it down of how you can apply, where, when, and where you can apply. The process itself, once you actually like sign up for it, wait for that first interview to see if you're eligible for it. After that first interview, it's still going to be a month or two before you get everything straightened out with the paperwork back and forth and doing all the market research and all that stuff that you have to do to put your packet together to get then turned on. It's still going to be 2 or 3 months. So you definitely need to back plan from that and understand that it's going to be some time before you can actually start your school. But if you are a veteran who has a VA rating of, I believe it's 20% or higher, I have to go back and
I think it's 10. It might be 10.
Yeah, it might be 10. If you've already got that VA rating, you could potentially do a few different options of things if you're trying to start school now or in the near future, and you have some kind of long wait period, like 16, 18 months or whatever for your first initial appointment. There's ways you can work around that as well. So just check that out.
Yeah, it's better to get your name on the list, man. Better to get your name on the list. Hey, with that, John, I want to share a couple things that I'm reading right now. I know we like to talk about this back and forth, and I love taking down notes of what you're currently reading, and I'm going to share with you. I just finished Brett Crozier's "Surf When You Can." Awesome book. Good life lessons on here. Just finished that. I'm doing a review on this guy. It's going to be on the Green Logbook YouTube channel. Great stuff. And hopefully we can get Mr. Crozier, Brett, if you're listening to this at all, hopefully one day we can get you on the podcast to talk about your leadership lessons, talk about your experiences, your knowledge, having served in the Navy for 30 years. This guy has seen some stuff and been through some stuff, especially being an aviator and then commanding the USS Theodore Roosevelt, and ultimately came to the point where he was relieved of command because of certain situations that came across that had to do with COVID. But thoroughly enjoyed the book. 100% would read it again. This is a library book. I'm going to go ahead and buy this thing because there's so many things. I love to underline stuff, and there's so many pieces on here that I'm like, I cannot underline and highlight a library book. So, but yeah, this is it's a good one. Surf When You Can, Brett Crozier, retired Navy captain. I got back into reading this guy. I haven't read this one for a while. It's been probably 4 years or so, and this is a good one. It's called Legacy by James Kerr. All right, it goes over the leadership lessons on the All Blacks. If you don't know who the All Blacks are, I would recommend Googling or watching a YouTube video on the haka, which is a Maori war dance that they do right before each one of the rugby games. Okay, so it is James Kerr Legacy, what the All Blacks can teach us about the business of life. And it starts out with a good life lesson, like, they're a team, they're a unit, and they take care of themselves, right? All Blacks look after the All Blacks. So after winning this championship game, they each picked up a broom and started sweeping their own locker room because they don't allow anybody else to take care of them. They take care of themselves. And that was a huge lesson. Like, we take care of each other, right? We don't leave things unattended. We look out for each other. Just a whole lot of stuff. And I'm getting back into this because it's been like 5 years since I read this, and I found this one. Luckily, it was like a $1.50. I don't know if you can see it on there, at a bookstore nearby, and I picked it up immediately. I was like, look, I don't know where my copy is, but crap, I need that in my life again. So I'm going to get back into that one after I finish this guy right here. So if you haven't read anything from Sebastian Junger, Tribe is probably the first book I ever read from this guy. Great book on, just having the tribal mentality, and it has a direct connection to like the Marine Corps, like military, how, you are part of a tribe. Once you are outside of that tribe, kind of like an animal, you feel a little lost, and we need that tribe in order to feel like we're a unit, like we belong, right? Great read. I have it up here somewhere. This one right here, I have not read this one before. This is the first time. Uh, let me see I just started the first chapter, and the contents are 3 different books in the contents. It is book 1, Run, book 2, Fight, book 3, Think. I don't know if you can actually see that, but
Yep.
yeah, that's it. That's the contents, and it's not a long read at all, you know. And I started reading it as I was sitting there watching my kid practice at baseball. So finished off this guy and then started this guy. So yeah, it just 100% recommend. I mean, just I love the way he's like a storyteller. Sebastian Junger is just an incredible storyteller and just takes it to a place where I had no idea it was going, but just outstanding read. I mean, I'm only like 5 pages in, and I'm like, I do not want to put the book down again.
Huh.
I can keep
Yeah,
going,
I'll
John.
be
I got a
happy
ton of
when
them up here.
I was just gonna say I'll be happy when my household goods actually show up and arrive, and I get all of my books back. Hopefully, they all make it across the water safely,
Yeah.
because I've got hundreds and hundreds. You might have saw my bookshelf before when I had it set up
Yeah.
before, but yeah, I've got tons and tons and tons of books that are on the way, hopefully, and we're making space right now for them to figure out where we're going to put all those books. Maybe it'll be a bookshelf back here. Who knows? But my current, I think I'm still reading the same one that I was reading last time we talked, The 7 Rules of Self-Reliance,
Yep.
by Maha. Great book. It's an amazing book. She's got a really interesting perspective on things, and actually just kind of opens up the curtains of the behind the scenes of some of these really high profile companies and clients that she's worked with, and just her perspective on business and getting through life and struggling and dealing with, parents who are bedridden and really, really sick and ill and eventually passing away. It's a really great book. I'm almost done. I got 2 hours left. I've got The Dragons of Eden by Carl Sagan. That's kind of in the queue right now. And of course, the Surf When You Can book that I got from you. And then Super Communicators is another one that I'm reading on and off. So
I've heard of that one.
going back and forth between. Yeah, it's a really interesting book. It's I've always been intrigued. I mean, being a communicator myself from the Army, and then just communications in general, like learning how to better process messages that come in, how to speak better, and how to be more interactive with people as you're talking to them, getting your message across, getting the point across, doing it in a way that makes the situation light and not so heavy, and so not so much thick fog in between.
Right.
Another great book, and then a couple other ones that I've got there that I've read over time. You probably recognize a bunch of those, but
I do. Yep.
Yeah.
Is that the Robert Greene's Power? Is that what I see there?
The 48 Laws of Power. Yeah, that one's in there. That's actually
that's a good one.
The Italian version of 48 Laws of Power, and then I got my son the German version of it as well. So
nice.
And then this book right here, The Fourth Turning, is here. That book is if you haven't read The Fourth Turning, you should probably read it if you're interested in what's going on with the world, and you're interested in what the next 10 to 20 years is going to potentially look like. That's a really, really well thought out, really researched, really good book.
That's good. I have a couple of them saved at work, and I wish I would have wrote them down. Whenever I have some downtime at work, I'll read these books. They come in PDF format, right? And a lot of them, only because I'm very curious about the future and like cyber warfare and things like that, like where how it's going to progress over time. As we know that there's different countries that the U.S. does not get along with always, and some may have affected elections in the past, and I'm just curious how things are going to progress, for the worse, for the better, maybe, through cyber warfare, through AI. So I've been reading a lot about AI lately, and just how it's going to affect the United States in the way, for one, how we learn, because as we know, like now it's getting harder and harder to distinguish things from reality, from what's reality and from what is AI. Shit, I've seen videos and I'm like, what is that real? Like it's hard to distinguish that, you know, and especially when you can superimpose your mouth, your voice on something else, and you can't even tell exactly if it's real or fake or what. How is that going to affect the future of military operations, the future of, say, learning, you know, university, when everything you can learn, is there going to be a need to actually know anything in the future, or just have a device in your hand that knows everything? And one thing that sparked that thought was I was sitting down yesterday. I was watching a show with my kid, and it was one of these like Hulu shows or something. And um, then, you know, the commercials come up because obviously, if you pay for Hulu, you still get commercials, right? So, yeah, that's the fun part of it, even though you pay. But this commercial came up, and it's a Samsung commercial, and it's a guy getting out of the plane, you know, got his baggage at the airport, and it shows two people up front at first, and they're like, it's everything's in disorder. Like, oh, you know, I can't find a cab, and they're trying to use their like Google Translate, and like, they can't get it to work. And so this one guy who gets off the plane grabs a Samsung phone that has a direct connection somehow to like the Uber app that the guy in Thailand, the actual driver, is using. And so the guy says, "Hey, I'm at baggage claim 5. Can you come pick me up here?" And then it shoots it over, you know, it shows a camera pan over to the cab driver. The cab driver is looking at the phone. He sees it show up in English, and it automatically translated into Thai. And I'm like, so damn, you know, like you don't even need to know that language, you know, really. You could just like, it'll translate it on the spot. And I know we use it like in Google Translate and all that stuff, but I'm like, to translate it to like on the spot to like a cab driver, and then that's how you communicate. I'm like, holy crap, man, that's crazy how quick that worked, you know. And I recall being in Japan years ago, and I had a stupid this little computer in my hand, and I'm trying to translate. It was an actual translator, right? Because Google Translate didn't really work. This was around 2010 or so.
Yep.
And I was trying to plug in the words that I wanted to translate, and then it had like an audio button where it actually talk for you. It didn't work that well. And now using Google Translate to talk somebody, it's crazy how like you all can have a conversation with just having this thing in between both of you. I'm just curious to see how things like that are going to affect warfare, the military, university learning, you know, any type of education, things like that.
The job market.
Yeah, exactly. The job market. Yeah, there's also some video that I saw. It was I don't know how accurate this is. It was this girl was at an interview. The interview was via like Zoom. She has her phone in front of the screen, and as the interviewer is asking questions, she has Chat GPT open, and it gives her the response. So she just reads the response off the phone, but it looks like she's staring at the camera. You know, it was kind of weird. It's like, okay, well, she's giving these canned responses. I don't know if interviewers can catch that, but it's crazy how that may affect the future of, you know, job industries.
Yeah.
It's
going to be interesting. It's every day it keeps getting better and better. For me anyway, it keeps getting better and better. I think the technology just keeps pushing forward. It's not going to stop. Like you can sit there and try to stop it and try to be like, well, I'm not going to use technology. I mean, you're going to have to use it one way or another.
Yeah, it's going to be an ongoing thing. I mean, we just had VeteranAI.
Patagonia.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we just had VeteranAI. Dennis Spohn on the podcast not too long ago, the CEO and founder of VeteranAI. And he's doing amazing things, though. I mean, it's nothing scary about it. It's just amazing how he's looking to help out veterans with his AI, artificial intelligence background, his knowledge. It'll actually, like, his algorithms will actually spit out like a Nexus letter, right? Or help you submit something to a VSO. It's amazing. I was just talking to I got a call from one of the leaders over at Headquarters Marine Corps recently. He was over a job opening that was coming up and something I might have been interested in. So he gave me a call. He's like, "Hey, Vic, man, I heard you're looking into this." And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, tell me about it." And then I told him about this whole veteran AI thing because he was looking at retiring here pretty soon. And he's like high
Mm.
up. He's like the top of our MOS, what I used to work in. And I told him about it. He's like, "Dude, how do I find out more about that? Because that sounds amazing to have something where you can just plug in what you have and it spits out everything. And then you just kind of walk it over to your VSO like, hey, look, I've already done all the legwork. You just got to put it in.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot, I can even just put it in, to the system." It's kind of amazing how that's happening. Like where we are now versus where we were 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's definitely going to get better in a lot of different ways. I'm sure. Again, every single piece of technology that mm, humans have created over time, they all have
Yeah.
pluses and minuses. There's good applications of the technology and there's bad applications of technology. You can create a lot of power to power an entire city with nuclear energy, and you can also destroy Nagasaki and Hiroshima with nuclear energy, right? So
Yeah.
it goes
Yeah.
both ways. But I think focusing on the positives of it and not neglecting the negatives. I mean, you have to be aware that they're there, but um, I don't think we're going to head into a dystopian like Terminator future anytime soon. I really don't see that
Judgment Day.
happening. Uh, and because of the reason of, by this time, according to the movies, by this time we should have had flying cars and like all kinds of stuff by now. So, and
Oh,
we don't.
yeah. 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 We should be
So,
the Jetsons right now, but it's not happening.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That, and then if you couple that with like, we think we're so far advanced and we're like the greatest, most advanced civilization in the world. And really like human behavior is just replicated over time, over tens of thousands of years. So whatever was happening, 10,000 years ago on a little bit more primitive level is the same exact stuff that we're dealing with today. They were annoyed. They were cranky because they didn't get enough sleep. The kids kept them up all night. They couldn't find the right animal to kill to bring home for food. So they were frustrated. Like those kind of things frustrate us today, right? In a different sense. Human
Yeah.
behavior is human behavior. I don't think it's ever going to really change too much. So,
Yeah. And I don't want to take this somewhere crazy, John, but
let's go.
if you've ever yeah, all right, hey, I'm ready. I'm ready when you are, man. Hey, I'm ready to suit up here. Let me lace my boots up real quick. No, but if you have ever heard, like, especially podcasts on folks um who have knowledge about like these unidentified flying objects or whatever they call them. And I mean, you can look it up on YouTube. There's like actual Navy, aircraft footage of, these flying objects. They're shaped like eggs and they're flying all over the place. And they're like going at like Mach 1,000 or something. It's something beyond anything that we have the potential of creating right now, right? Something beyond our current technology. Um,
Yep.
I that kind of leads you to think like we for one, we're not alone. For two, we're not the most advanced civilization, in the universe. If you believe in that kind of stuff, right? Which I 100% do. But rather than everybody logging off of this podcast because they think this guy's a wacko, I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to let you look it up for yourself and read about it and listen to podcasts and stuff like that of these experts or so-called experts or whatever you want to think of them and how they explain these phenomena. But I mean, there is video footage of it out there, so I'll leave it at that. We have a long way to go as a civilization.
No.
AI is just the start of it, I think.
Well, I mean, the internet was just the start of it, right? The car
Yeah, that's
was
right.
just the
That's right.
start of it.
Yeah, every step, right?
And that's why I said
Yeah.
every generation, every time we progress and move forward, and we're like, this is going to be the next best thing. And like, that's what they were saying about fire. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
So,
yeah. Fire, Wilson.
this is amazing. We can cook our food.
Oh, yeah. Every different yard, every generation has their yard line, right? We just keep inching it forward. but I don't know what's the goal. What's the end goal? I don't know what it is. But I am curious to see how it's going to work out. So, but yeah, I want to say to all the Marines out there listening, if you're a Marine, if it doesn't matter if you served, if you know somebody who served, to all the Marines out there, happy birthday, 249th birthday. It has been my honor to have served in the Marine Corps for 20 years. And my goal was always 20. I've always gotten questions from folks like, hey, why didn't you do 21, 24, 30, et cetera, et cetera. I'm like, look, when you've got a goal, you want to stick to that goal, right? My goal was always 20 years and out because I wanted to be young enough to do something else with the second part of my life. And I call it the second chapter, right? A lot of folks call it the second chapter, but the second part of my life, I knew that if I was to stay in 30 years after 50, I'm probably not going to want to work again, at least not that hard. I knew that once I called it at 20 years, I was at 40 years old, and I'm like, look, I still have a lot of life left in me. Let's see what's next. Let's keep pushing forward. But at 20 years, you also have the luxury of maybe not working as hard as you wanted to, or maybe you not working as hard and focusing on other things like the podcast, like the YouTube channel. I have so many interests that I'm like, I want this to be part of my second chapter. So let's try to find the happy medium here. So yeah, 20 years is always the mark to hit for me, at least. But yeah, happy birthday to all the Marines out there. 249 years is no small feat. We started from the bottom at Ton Tavern, and now we're here. And next year, I'm going to be partying it up like there's no tomorrow, man. 250 years. That's awesome. Can't wait.
Next year's live stream live from the Marine Corps Ball birthday bash.
Dude, I'm telling you, doing head spins on the concrete, man.
I'm sure it still happens.
Somewhere out there, there's a video of somebody doing that. I don't know. Break dancing. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Definitely a big birthday. Congratulations from myself as well for the USMC, to all those out there who are still active, those who have retired, those who are thinking about getting into the USMC. It's definitely, from my outside perspective, probably the creme de la creme of all the services thus far, and continues to be the tip of the spear in our warfighting efforts across the globe. So big shout out to the Marine Corps today. Also to veterans tomorrow. Veterans Day is tomorrow. And that's our big day as veterans, to kind of celebrate, to also remember those fallen comrades, remember people who we've served with, and just give yourself a little pat on the back for the sacrifice that you've given to the country, to serve, to protect the Constitution.
100%, man. Veterans Day is huge. And I salute everybody out there who has put in the time, effort to raise their right hand and join the military in some way, shape, or form. And no matter the service, no matter how many years, you're in good company. You've served your country. So we salute you for that. Absolutely. So go out there and get your free Applebee's or your IHOP or whatever it is that they're giving out. Dude, I'll tell you, John, I cannot do those lines, man. I tried it one time in North Carolina and I could not. It was like a line around the block just for some like IHOP or something. I'm like, look, I'd rather just pay for it another day. Do I really want Applebee's that bad? I don't think so.
No.
But hey, look, it's fun for like the young guys, right? For the young service members. It's fun to get out there and, get something in return, a little thank you.
Go out there and get your free oil change. That's what you should really do. Get your tires rotated for free. Please.
Yes.
Do something constructive with that time. Don't just eat.
So there's a guy at work, won't say his name or anything like that, but they were conjuring up a plan.
You know who you are.
Yeah, exactly. He may be watching the show. I don't know, but he was coming up with a plan, and he was trying to they have a bus that they get. It's like one of those party buses, at work,
Mhm.
and they get all these veterans together, and they start at like southern San Diego, and they work their way up to like North County, up by Camp Pendleton, and the whole day they're just hitting up freebie spots, like a whole
Wow.
bus full of these veterans. I'm like, no, no, I'm good, man. I'll have to pass on this one. As fun as that sounds, I'll have to pass on this one.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's the crazy thing these guys come up with, man. That's funny.
I think I've actually went out a couple of years while I was still in uniform, a couple of years during Veterans Day, and I would go around and try to get some of the free food that you could take away. So if it was like a
Yeah.
takeaway meal or something like that, and I would immediately like take that meal and go find like the first homeless person or the first person who's
Mhm.
needs food, and just give them that food and just spend like a few hours of the day doing that. That's
Yeah.
also a good quality use of time
Yeah.
for
Not
Veterans Day
bad, man.
for me.
Yeah, definitely not a
So
bad way. Definitely not a bad way.
yeah.
Oh, man. But yeah, I don't really have any plans. I mean, you did bring up the oil change. I think I might go get that oil change. I did get like one of those little Valvoline type of oil change text messages here, though they're only
Mhm.
50% off. You know, I mean, still, I'll have to check out the free ones if they have any out there around my area. Excuse me.
Yeah. If you're not signed up for it, I don't know where you exactly sign up for it, but if you're not signed up for like the VA like kind of email thing, they do an email basically it's about once every week, once every 2 weeks.
Mhm.
It's not too often, but they send out these emails on a regular basis, and
It's like a
they
freebie type
basically
of
can
email
tell
or
you.
something.
Yeah, it's the VA news email. I'll pull up this one real quick. Hopefully,
Oh, okay.
my
All right.
data's not there for the internet to witness. But they've got all a list of all the different events that are going on around the country and the different Veterans Day and Memorial Day. What's the difference between Veterans Day and Memorial Day? Veterans Day discounts. So if you go here, but yeah, if you get that email, you'll get regular updates on those kind of things. You'll also get updates on these mobile clinics that you can go to. In some cases, you can go and get everything done in one day for your VA claims, a lot
Mhm.
of job fair stuff, a bunch of different things. I mean, they don't want to put our stuff on there, but that's fine. But yeah, you can get a bunch of information. There you go. Applebee's, 7-Eleven, all these
Look, I'm
things.
curious for anybody out there who what is the best Veterans Day discount or freebie that you've ever encountered, or something that they're currently offering now? I'm curious to know what somebody has gotten in the past. Not that I want to advertise for anybody, but I'm just genuinely curious. Like a free meal, free card. Like what throw something out there. I'm curious.
Yeah,
I think the
if
best I've
you've
ever
made
gotten
it
is like
this
an
far,
IHOP.
all right. If you made it this far and you've got something at the top of your mind that's the best VA best Veterans Day deal, just drop it in the comment and put Veterans Day deal in front of it, and we'll get back to those. Maybe we'll highlight them on the next Sunday and see what we got. It's a
Heck yeah.
retrospective kind of thing.
Like maybe
That would be awesome.
barbershops got like a free haircut for military, because those haircuts are like $30 plus tip. I just took my
Yeah.
kids to go get haircuts, and they're like, yeah, $30 plus tip, man. I mean, it's after I I've cut my hair on my own for I've only paid for about 3 haircuts my entire 2 decades of being in the Marine Corps. I learned how to cut my own hair, and I calculate that I've saved about $25,000. So, yeah, having to pay $30 plus tip on a haircut, man, that hurts. That hurts the soul, John. It hurts the soul.
Especially when you came in and they were only like $5 for haircuts, right?
Dude, yeah, I know, man. I mean, I came in and they're like, "Hey, what do you want? A high and tight?" "Yes, sir. Yeah, I'll take a high and tight." You're sitting in that seat 5 minutes, tip the guy, whatever, you're out of there.
Done.
Exactly, man. And, it looks like a barracks cut or whatever, but yeah, now it's like $30. I took my 10-year-old to go get a haircut, and they put like a hot towel on him and all that shit. I'm like, "Does he need that? Like, am I paying for this trash?"
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
but I mean, he enjoyed it, you know. Yeah, it is. It is what it is. Things are getting more expensive, man. It is what it is. I chalk it up to
That's
that.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, with that, I think that's all I got. That's all I got. Let everybody get back to
Yeah,
this
sounds
Sunday
good, man.
afternoon. Enjoy
Yeah,
your 3-day
it
weekend
was
if you got a 3-day. There's no Danza, right? I didn't get a Danza if there was. The extra day that they give you. Sorry, Danza is one of those military terms. Oops. So
no, not
enjoy
that I
the
know of.
3-day weekend and enjoy the
Yeah.
the Veterans Day. And if you're a Marine, enjoy your birthday celebration today, wherever you may be celebrating, because I'm pretty sure every single Marine on the planet who's been a Marine or is a Marine is celebrating today, some way, shape, or form. I can probably imagine that every single one is.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Dude, we're making a cake here in a few, and we're having a cake for to dessert. I'm gonna cut it with my sword. I got my sword in the garage.
Nice.
I gotta take it out, clean it up a little bit, cut that thing with the sword. All good, man. I can't fit in my blues anymore, but I will take out the sword. I'm not even trying to fit in the blues, dude.
It's a blue sweatsuit or nothing. That's all you're getting for free.
That's it. That's it, man. I got to get one of those hoodies that look like the uniform. The uniform printed on there. Oh man, no, good stuff, man. Yeah, thank you, John. Thanks, everybody watching. It was a pleasure to run this show here on the Marine Corps birthday and for tomorrow, the Veterans Day. Go out there and get some. Go out there and get something that that you've earned. You know, if anybody's giving out something for Veterans Day, go out there and get it. Thank you all for serving. I don't think we hear that enough. Thank you all for serving from the bottom of my heart.
Yep. Thank you very much. And be safe out there. And again, remember to reach out if you need something, or if you know somebody who's out there who maybe needs something, reach out either way. And keep the connections up over the next few weeks going into 2025. That's all I got, man.
100%. That's all I got.
All right.
Hey, thank you all. Thank you all for watching.
Catch y'all later. Out here.
All right. Out here.